Hi, I'm Sam. This is Back of the Net, and this is my match review after the game yesterday against Sheffield United. Remember, all the opinions of myself and yourself and my colleague Jeff Hayward will be on the podcast. It's released Monday mornings, so when you wake up, check your podcast app, and there will be a new episode of Back of the Net that drops. It'll be episode number 54 for an extended version of what I'm about to go through here. So, how did I feel after yesterday? Well, I came away feeling very disappointed. I was hoping and expecting 3 points, and to come away with one is, very, very frustrating. It's those type of matches we should be winning. There are over 3,000 minutes of Premier League football this season. I think it's something like 3,420. We've played 90 minutes, and on Twitter there's a lot of knee-jerk opinion already. However, is it particularly knee-jerk when it's the same mistakes that we seem to be making? Regardless, we started off as a sort of 5-3-2. Obviously, it goes 3-5-2 when we're attacking. Ramsdale got the nod in goal. I was quite surprised about that. I thought the experience of Boric may be favoured. However, I've got to say Ramsdale did really well, and that opening save he made really gave him a lot of confidence. And then throughout the game he looked fairly solid. His distribution was pretty good, much better than the pre-season friendly against Lyon, at least anyway. And he did very well. Now the surprise pick for me was Rico. He's still yet to convince me as an AFC Bournemouth player. Mixed opinion about him online. People say he needs some time. For me, he's got a lack of Premier League experience there, especially with a lack of attacking flair that, say, Charlie Daniels and even Lloyd Kelly would provide. Obviously, Lloyd Kelly is injured, can't have him, and Charlie Daniels is still coming back from injury. But I was not impressed really by Rico. He's got a banging left foot, really good, but his just attacking flair and instinct isn't there, and the amount of wayward passes there seemed to be was quite extraordinary yesterday from what I saw anyway. I haven't looked at the stats. Now, quite interesting, Adam Smith, of course, on the right-hand side. He can deputise at left-back or on the left, which indicates to me that Eddie Howe thinks Rico is more Premier League ready than Jack Stacey, because it could have been that he started on the right and then Adam Smith was on the left. But hey, who knows? Of course, Steve Cook and Nathan Ake in the middle. I thought both of those two were pretty good yesterday, to be fair. And then in the middle, Jefferson Lerma and Philip Billing. Not entirely surprised that Billing was in there. The only other option there really was put Andrew Sermon in, perhaps. But I thought he did really well. He looked very good in that half he played in the first half against Lyon. Tough tackler, distribution pretty good, but he's just not quite got the Eddie Howe ways of playing yet. I remember in the second half, Adam Smith had the ball on the right and he was just stood there behind him, whereas even though he's a centre midfielder, I would have expected him to overlap and give him that option, because then he can either use him as a decoy or cut in and then cross it with his left foot. He didn't, which kind of left Adam Smith having to come back on himself a little bit. So yeah, he's still got to learn a little bit, but promising player. And if Eddie Howe can rein in his attitude that apparently he had, maybe he didn't, who knows. I think he's going to be a cracking signing for us, and if he can gel with Jefferson Lerma, like I think he probably can, we could have a stonking midfield. Bring Lewis Cook back into the mix as well for that creativity, and of course Dan Gosling for that, the energy that he provides and the disruptive style that he's got. Maybe his distribution isn't the best, but he can score goals. That would be fantastic. Now, AFC Bournemouth have in midfield recently, in recent seasons, I do feel as though Dan Gosling has been the player that's often popped up with goals, and really we're very we don't score as many goals from midfield as we should. Now Jefferson Lerma's trying to put that right. Scored in pre-season, scored a wonder goal against Crystal Palace. It was phenomenal. But yeah, fingers crossed it will all gel nicely as the season progresses. So we had Ryan Fraser, Josh King and Callum Wilson, who were pretty impotent throughout the game, really. Josh King coming in for a lot of criticism online. Callum Wilson didn't really have much service. He had the so-called assist for Chris Mepham's opener for Bournemouth with that shot that was just parried by the keeper, and then obviously Mepham popped up at the right time. But Fraser, I felt as though it wasn't a great game for him. Obviously, the conditions were pretty poor. The first half was bad football. First 45 minutes was not enjoyable. The ball was swirling around a lot, and probably favours Northerners. Who knows? But Sheffield United, to their credit, I thought were all right and dogged. Chris Wilding's got he's done well with regards to organising that team. Chatting to a few Blades fans afterwards, you can click the link up there to see what they thought of it. They don't really know what Lys Mousset's role is going to be actually this season, but hey, who knows? David Brooks was the missing link, really, wasn't he? Because he's that natural player that can link the midfield with the strikers, and I thought Harry Wilson could be the ultimate, deputy. However, Eddie Howe didn't look as though he was going to make any changes. Everyone was looking over to the touchlines thinking, bring on Ibe, bring on anyone. And there was nothing, and there was that usual gung-ho reactive substitution, throw on a striker at the end. Although it was a striker for a striker by bringing on Solanke. It was too little, too late, and not a classic Bournemouth performance at all, really. There was no intensity at all, a lot of sideways passing, and it wasn't a great game for us. Perhaps that was down to how the opposition played. I'm not totally sure. But when the goal came for Sheffield United, I don't think it was... I wouldn't say it was coming. It's not like they had this barrage of pressure against us. But when they had that free kick, I think we would expect them to lump it in, because that's what they were doing for a lot of the game. Even their own fans admitted that they were quite direct. So when they played that little kind of almost a slide rule pass to the right, it caught Nathan Ake Enrico unaware. I think it was Ake Enrico. And then, by the time it got drilled in, it was in the danger zone. And once again, in the Bournemouth style of conceding goals, it takes a few deflections and then ends up being scored by a League One goal scorer that scored against us many a time, by the way of Billy Sharp. So he's now a Premier League goal scorer. But he's a journeyman that I'm sure will pop up very well, just like Glenn Murray is for Brighton and Bournemouth that time against Chelsea. Really disappointed with that. However, I'm not going to throw my toys out the pram. I think, why were we going 5-3-2? It's a very defensive lineup against a newly promoted side. We had enough quality to play 4-4-2. I don't think they had that much of an attacking threat. But alas, I think changes do need to be made personnel-wise. Myself, I think Rico would be replaced next week. I'd love to see Harry Wilson feature. And even, let's give Jordan Ibe some minutes as well. Eddie Howe will look at himself, I'm sure, in terms of those substitutions and think, maybe I should have done some things different. But hey, we live and learn. Back of the net's going to be at Aston Villa next weekend. And we're going to be outside the ground doing some interviews and some vlogs along the way. So if you can get involved, we would really appreciate it. I want to say thank you so much to everyone who came along after the final whistle. There's like 5 or 6 people, and it's very difficult doing these fan TV channels. I think Bournemouth's been really yearning for something like this, and people have been clamouring for it, yet there's never really the people that want to contribute. So they want to watch it, but they don't want to take part. But without the people taking part, you're not going to be able to watch it. So thank you to everyone that came down. I do really appreciate it. I find that on Twitter, anonymous usernames can post whatever the hell they like, and there's not really any accountability at all. Most of them have got alliterative surnames with a picture of a player as their profile picture, and they can say any old crap. When you're speaking to camera, it's more authentic and it's more genuine. I've taken my personal account off Twitter because I just was getting too embroiled in stupid conversation about Brexit and even arguing with other football fans, and even amongst the AFCB lot there's always a lot of conjecture. So I'm concentrating on the AFCB podcast account. Do give that a follow at AFCB podcast, and do subscribe to this channel as well, because we'll be uploading content all the time. If you want to take part, then we would love to have you involved. Come along for a fans interview. Send us a DM on Twitter or on facebook.com/AFCB podcast as well. Send us a message there, or on Instagram too, because whatever way you want to take part, it would be great. Either if it's to camera, if you do want to come up after a game, great. If you want to go back home, think about it and pre-record a video, brilliant. You can do it on your phone, just put it in front of you, just press the video button, film it in landscape, not portrait, do it in landscape, and then send it to us via email, fans@afcbpodcast.com. We may also use the audio for the podcast as well, so that'd be good. And also, you can give us a call with your thoughts on 01202 90 10 48, or you can voice note them as well. My phone number, the back of the net phone number, is on our Twitter bio, so do check that out as well. So those are my thoughts. We would love to see your thoughts in the comments too, and be sure to download the podcast on your favourite podcast app. It drops Monday morning at 7 o'clock. You can find out all the details at afcbpodcast.com. Cheers. What's good? Back in the net! What's good? Back in the net!